You know that feeling when you're facing something so big, it's just overwhelming, and you feel totally on your own? Well, that's exactly where we're headed today. We're going to look at this incredible moment, a leader at his breaking point, making a desperate plea, and the promise he gets in return that changes, well, everything. All right, let's get into it. So this is Moses speaking. Yeah, that Moses, leader of the Israelites. And you can just feel the pressure he's under, right? He's at this massive crossroads, feeling the crushing weight of his mission. God's told him, hey, lead these people, but Moses is basically saying, and you haven't told me who's coming with me. It's just this incredibly raw, honest, and vulnerable moment. And that right there, that's the central question we're tackling. How do you lead when you're up against the impossible? Because let's be real, Moses' problem from thousands of years ago, it's our problem too. I mean, we all face it, don't we? In our jobs, with our families, even just personal stuff we're trying to achieve. We hit these walls that just feel impossible. So what do you do? Okay, so to figure this out, we've got to look closely at what Moses actually asks for. And spoiler alert, it is probably not what you're thinking. I mean, think about it. He's not asking for an army. He's not asking for more food or a brilliant military strategy. No, his request goes way deeper than that. It's more fundamental. He's asking for a guide. He's asking for certainty. He just needs to know for sure that he isn't doing this massive, terrifying thing all by himself. And this plea, coming from such a real place, it leads to the pivot point of the whole story. This is where everything shifts. God's response is direct, it's powerful, and it is so personal. And here it is. This is the promise that everything else is built on. Notice, God doesn't say, I'll send an angel with you, or my power will sort it out. He says, my presence will go with you. And tacked onto that promise is this incredible gift. I will give you rest. So, okay, what does that even mean, my presence? The source we're looking at has this great way of explaining it. Picture a treasure chest. Now, any earthly treasure chest can be emptied, right? You take stuff out and eventually it's gone. But this treasure chest, God's presence, it's infinite. It's inexhaustible. You can draw from it forever and it will never, ever run dry. And to make this idea, which is kind of abstract, feel more real, the source gives us another brilliant analogy. Think about the sun. You can't reach out and touch the sun, right? It's millions of miles away. But you absolutely feel its presence, its warmth, its light, because of the atmosphere. Well, in the same way, the Holy Spirit is what makes God's presence a real, tangible, felt experience for us, right here, right now. All right, so if this presence is the ultimate treasure, the big question is, how do we get it? Well, according to our source, it all comes down to what we're focused on. And the source makes a really key distinction here. It's all about what we're asking for. Are we just asking for the blessings, the gifts? Or are we seeking God himself, the giver? It's a huge difference. One is focused on temporary stuff, the things. The other is focused on the eternal source of all the things. And you see this idea pop up again, right here in Matthew. The secret to getting what you need isn't to fixate on the needs themselves. It's about putting God first. Seek the giver. And the gifts, well, they're kind of thrown in as part of the deal. So let's say we do this. We seek the presence. What actually happens? What changes in our lives? Well, the source breaks it down into 3 really profound effects. Okay, so here are the big 3. Grace, rest, and separation. Let's dig into what each of those actually looks like. First up, evidence of grace. Basically, having God's presence with you is the #1 sign that you've found grace in his sight. It's the proof. I mean, Moses himself says it. How will anyone know you're pleased with us if you don't go with us? The presence is the evidence. Next, we have rest. And we're not talking about just getting a good night's sleep here. This is a deep, soul-level kind of peace. The kind that stays with you even when life is chaotic. The source uses this beautiful image. It's like the comfort a mother gives her sick child. It's that gentle, that secure, that constant. And this rest isn't just a nice feeling. It brings real, practical freedom. Freedom from the power of sin, for sure, but also freedom from the fear of what other people think. Freedom from all the anxieties that modern life throws at us. And get this, even freedom from the burnout that can happen when we're trying to do good things. It covers all the bases. And the third effect is this power of separation. What does that mean? It means God's presence actually sets you apart. It creates this clear distinction between you and the way the world operates. It separates you from negative spiritual forces, And this one's huge, from what the source calls the tyranny of the self. You know that nagging, selfish voice inside? Yeah, that. His presence marks you as different.
So, as we start to wrap this up, the source doesn't just leave us with information. It leaves us with a really powerful invitation.
And the final takeaway is pretty clear, pretty uncompromising, actually. When you put everything the world offers on one side of the scale, success, money, pleasure, all of it, and you put this one promise on the other side, there's just no comparison. The personal, unending presence of God outweighs it all.
Which leaves us with one last question to chew on. The world is constantly screaming for our attention, right? Offering us so much stuff. But when you really stop and think about it, does any of it, offer something better than this? Something more lasting, more profound than the promise of his presence and the deep rest that comes with it? That's the real question, isn't it?